Hello, everybody. It's Friday, April 11th, 2025. I don't know why I felt like I needed to give you the whole date there, but I did. My name is Rodney. If you already knew that, thank you so much for coming back and watching another Raiders Daily podcast live stream. Whether you're watching live on BR, Bleacher Report, download the app. I guess if you're live on BR, you already have the app, right? Make sure we're getting the chat going here. We're going to be reading questions. Friday I lean on you guys to read or answer some questions that you so generously offer to me. We'll get you out of here in about 30 minutes so you can enjoy your Friday night. Thank you for spending it with me. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, ALLaBorde Raiders, hit that like button, drop some comments. I read them all, and hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 13,000 before the NFL draft. Can we do it? We got about 2 weeks. A lot to talk about today, surprisingly enough. Usually it's just a lot of smoke, right? And we got some smoke for you. But there's also a lot of trade stuff going on, particularly about a specific player on our team, and then a specific player that I just realized that I have a typo in one of my polls. And if I put that out there, it would have been really bad. I am now changing it. A potential trade that has to do with a player that used to be on our team about maybe moving up or down. I don't want to spoil it in the NFL draft. But everything that I want to talk about starts with a potential trade. So let's just get right into it. Let's why wait? Why wait, Where do I want to go here? Let's go to here and then let's talk about the injury heard around the world. This is our favorite Silver and Black Pride. You can find this on their website. You could also find it on Bleacher Report. I think there's a link that is provided on Bleacher Report to read all these articles, so that's pretty easy. Could injury to former quarterback affect the Raiders draft? The Saints may have urgent need for quarterback, and this is by Bill Williamson. Well, this is quite the development. And you already see the player that I'm talking about. And yes, somehow Derek Carr could have an effect on the Las Vegas Raiders' approach to the first round of the NFL draft that starts in 13 days. In a bombshell news story that came out of nowhere Friday afternoon, NFL media reported Carr is in danger of missing the 2025 season for the New Orleans Saints because of a shoulder injury. And there's a Rap Sheet tweet. Now, you might be thinking, well, why does this matter? Why does it matter that Derek Carr started? Why is this a Derek Carr podcast? Stick with me. It'll make sense. I'm sure a lot of you have already gotten there in your own brains. Rap Sheet said the Saints suddenly have a major QB question. Starter Derek Carr is not dealing with a shoulder injury that threatens his availability for the 2025 season, sources say. Carr is weighing options, including the possibility of surgery. First of all, that sucks. Love Derek. That's unfortunate. Carr, of course, spent his first 9 seasons as the starting quarterback for the Raiders. They released Carr, who turned 34 last month, same age as Geno Smith, in 2023, and he's been the New Orleans starter since. The Saints may have been in the market for a quarterback in the first round anyway. This news kicks that possibility into the next year. That's where the Carr Raiders connection circles. The Raiders own the number 6 pick and could be candidates to trade down. The Saints have the number 9 pick overall. These two teams have already made sense as their trade partner or as trade partners if there was mutual interest. The Raiders have 9 picks and many needs, could likely get a 3rd round pick or more in a done deal, and a potential target like Ashton Jeanty of Boise State could still be available. Okay, that's super duper interesting. Actually, I'm going to keep my screen shared here, and we're going to go NFL draft order. Order 2025. We're going to pull that up here, NFL.com. Okay. So we'll go back to that in a second, right? We'll go back to that in a second, but we just have it ready to go here. Is that accurate? Yes, it is accurate. Okay. So that's interesting for multiple reasons. The first reason being, it's unfortunate that this weird injury for Derek Carr kind of came out of nowhere, right? Shoulder injury, could be out for the whole season. I'm sure he's getting a second opinion, hoping that he doesn't have to miss the season, because who knows? That could be the end of his run as a starting quarterback, especially missing a whole season in which the team that you play for is probably looking to get your replacement as is, right? The reason why I think, and why the article, astutely mentions this is important, is because the Saints were already looking for a quarterback. And the reports, if they're to be believed, are that we aren't really in the mix for a quarterback at 6. Shador Sanders is probably going to be there at 6, especially now with Joe Flacco back in Cleveland. Didn't see that coming, but that makes a lot of sense. If we are not absolutely enamored with Shador Sanders, which I think we like him, some people in the building, maybe Tom Brady more than others, but I think there's absolutely a world now, excuse me, where the Saints are moving heaven and earth to try to get up to us at least because we are the last threat to take Shador Sanders before they are. Now, if we draft Shador, then maybe they'll just take Jackson Dart. I don't know who they like better. I would imagine that they like Shador better than Dart, like most people in this draft. Although now there is some buzz that Shador might go after Dart, which I think is insane. I think they're both probably second round picks. If I'm being honest with you, I think Cam Ward's the only player worth taking in the first round. I do like the position that we're in to have somebody like a Shador Sanders to learn under the Geno Smith, but that's neither here nor there. Right now, if I'm John Spytek, I'm saying I don't know. Maybe I will take Shador Sanders. Saints, how bad do you want Shador? Come up and get him. Because we gave our third round pick, obviously, to the Seattle Seahawks for Geno Smith. This is now a way to recoup almost the same exact pick because we have the sixth pick. The Saints have the ninth pick. That separation, 6-3, is going to be the same separation from our former third round pick to their former third round pick, I would imagine. So, are we living in a world where, hey, New Orleans, you come up to 6, guarantee yourself a pick of the litter between Shador Sanders and Jackson Dart. Give us your third to guarantee that you get your quarterback of the future. If Derek Carr isn't going to go down, you still got Spencer Rattler there to battle it out with Shador Sanders. If Shador isn't ready, you throw Spencer in. If Spencer craps the bed, then you throw in Shador. We'll take your third. Bada bing, bada boom. Now, a lot of people might be saying, well, you're taking a risk that Ashton Genty won't be there. That's why I pulled up the draft order. So let's just pretend. Let's just really dive deep here into the draft order. I'm going to zoom in so I can go back to my stream here. Okay. So you got the Tennessee Titans at 1. They're going Cam Ward. Cleveland Browns, Giants. None of this really matters. We'll be here at 6. If we trade back to 9, you have to dodge the New York Jets and the Carolina Panthers taking Ashton Genty. I have not seen a single mock draft where the Panthers are taking Ashton Genty. They have Brooks, who they drafted last year, and they've got running backs on that roster. Now they could, I guess, in a world take him, right? I don't see that happening. I've seen some reports that said the Jets could trade Brees Hall and then draft Genty. That would feel weird. Brees Hall's pretty good. I think they're going to go Tyler Warren. So we can get back from 6 to 9, get a third round pick, at least, because I see in the chat here only a third, not opposed to trade, but seems a little cheap. No doubt about it. But I'm just saying, like, worst case scenario, what if we'll give you a third? I think you still take that because, again, we jump back 2 spots. The Saints then take Shador Sanders. The Jets take Tyler Warren. The Panthers take whoever, Jalen Walker, I don't know, somebody, right? T-Mac, a weapon for Bryce Young. And then we sit here right before the Bears, right before the Cowboys, right before the Dolphins, the 49ers, all these teams that could take Genty and draft our guy. The guy that we were going to take at 6, we go back, we get another third, we take him at 9. That would be like draft day come to life. So, as I continue to break this down, I want to throw this first poll out here. What's more likely? This isn't what you want to happen. This is what do you think is most likely to happen? You know this. I'm not teaching an elementary school class. The Raiders make their selection at 6th overall. The Raiders trade back or the Raiders trade up. I think the most likely scenario at this point, if I had to put money on it, ooh, that's tough. I think it's likely that they trade back. Now, the only risk you run of trading back from 6 to 9 is that the Bears or the Cowboys then jump you to take Genty. But let's break that down now. Let's pretend, for the sake of argument, that it's Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, a lineman for the Patriots, Mason Graham. Excuse me. Those are the first 5 picks. Then we trade back to 9, so the Saints go Shedeur Sanders. Let's pretend that the Jets take Tyler Warren, and then the Bears jump us 1 spot to get Ashton Genty. First of all, they're going to have to pay a significant amount more than what we did or than what the Saints did to get to our pick because we both know, and the Carolina Panthers would also know, we're all trying to get Ashton Genty. So that would be the first issue with the Bears trading up. But if they traded up and took Genty, then you still have Jalen Walker available. You have your pick of the litter at wide receiver available. You have the other offensive tackle available that the Jets didn't take, whether that's Membu or Will Campbell. You have the cornerback that was mocked to go to us at 6 from Michigan. We could still take him. We could take Jahdae Barron, who we discussed yesterday live on Bleacher Report, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. There's a lot of options here, even if we get jumped for Genty. Also, maybe you trade back to 9, you get jumped for Genty, and say, you know what, screw it. We'll go back to 13, get some more capital, and take Omarion Hampton. Well, I've seen some people compare to Adrian Peterson. There's a lot of moving parts to this thing, and I do think SpyTech values picks and he's going to really do his due diligence to see, can I trade back, get some more capital, a second or a third, or a second and a third, a 3 and a 4, a 3 and a 5, and still be able to get Ashton Genty? That would be obviously the best case scenario. Honestly, not drafting a safety and getting a 3. Oh, sorry. Not drafting Shedeur Sanders and getting a 3 would be a bonus. I'm just saying there's a world in which this could really all fall into our lap, kind of like it did last year, with Brock Bowers being the best player in that draft other than Jaden Daniels. I'm not saying that things fell into our lap. We kind of got screwed with the Falcons trading up for Penix, and I'm sure Spytek doesn't want that to happen again or happen to the franchise again. It didn't happen to him again, which might mean that if that spooked him a little bit, they'll just stick at 6 and still take Genty. Oh, by the way, can you guys hear me clearer? We're using the same microphone that we used to. I think I got it fixed. Hopefully, it stays working for the whole half hour. Let me know if you can hear me clearly. I think it is working pretty well. But sometimes it tells me that it's working and then it's not really working. So just let me know, somebody in the chat, if you can hear me and if it sounds better than it did yesterday. I do think it does. Okay. So that was fun, right? We talked about trading for one draft pick backwards because of a former quarterback. There's also now reports coming out, and this licking chicken. Does that mean it's good? Does that mean you can hear me? I'm gonna go with that means you can hear me. Now I'm just thinking about Chicken Jockey from Minecraft. I digress. This might not be an important story to some people, but it's an important one to me, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so we're gonna go back to sharing here. Let me get rid of this. We'll talk about Pete Carroll in a second. Okay, so this is on Yard Breaker. This is an article about us potentially trading Aiden O'Connell. Loud and clear. Beautiful. This is an article about us potentially trading Aiden O'Connell. And that's a report that came out today from some Raider sources. And this is, do we have a name here for the person that wrote this article? I like to give credit to these people. Athlon Sports. Okay, Levi Dombro. Insider believes Raiders could trade ex-starting quarterback during draft weekend. The Las Vegas Raiders struggled mightily last season, largely due to a lack of talent at the quarterback position. New general manager John Spytek remedied that offseason by trading for two-time Pro Bowler Geno Smith. Aiden O'Connell, who started 17 games for the franchise over the last 2 seasons, is still under contract for the next 2. On Friday, however, the Athletics' Vic Tafur reported that O'Connell could be used as a trade chip on NFL draft weekend. Bringing in a young quarterback to learn behind Smith makes sense, parentheses, and we think the Raiders might trade O'Connell on draft weekend, wrote Tafur. The article goes on to say there is a slew of young quarterbacks in this year's draft class who the Raiders have met with, including Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, Will Howard, Jalen Milroe, Quinn Ewers. Any of those players would be a more suitable replacement for Smith and provide a potential long-term option at the position. O'Connell had flashes during his rookie season, but he regressed in year 2 and ultimately showed that he is not the franchise quarterback. I don't know if he regressed in year 2, but he didn't really improve that much. If the team could net a late round pick for his talents, they should jump on the opportunity to do so and opt for a young signal caller in the draft instead. Okay. So let's go back here. All right. Here's my take on all this. And I can see the comments already. Oh my God, this guy loves Aiden O'Connell. There is no world in which I would start Aiden O'Connell over Geno Smith. There is no world in which I think that the Raiders are going to roll with Aiden as the heir apparent to Geno Smith. I don't think Aiden O'Connell starts a significant amount of Raider games for the Raiders for the rest of his career unless it's an injury to Geno Smith and he's the backup. I do think Aiden O'Connell has more value on our team than on another team and us getting a 5th or 6th round pick for him. The reason why I feel that way is because we all are in agreement that we're probably going to draft a quarterback, right? In this draft. Let's pretend, just pick somebody. Somebody in the chat, throw a name out there. Quinn Ewers, Will Howard, Jalen Miro. Somebody throw somebody out there. Let's just pretend we draft somebody. Will Howard, okay? I am not comfortable having Will Howard be the backup quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders in 2025, especially if he's like a 4th round pick. That means that they don't think he's ready to play right now. If they draft a quarterback in the 2nd round, okay, maybe you can convince me. But there could be a scenario in which we're, 9-6 or 9-7, and we have a game in Arrowhead and Geno Smith is banged up, and we need a quarterback to go in there and just try to hang on and win the game. I trust Aiden O'Connell as the backup to go in there and give us the best chance to win in 2025 than I do Will Howard or Quinn Ewers or Jackson Dart or Jalen Miller or Dylan Gabriel or any of these guys. That does not mean I think that Aiden O'Connell should be the backup and should be the heir apparent learning under Geno Smith, getting ready to take the reins. That means Aiden O'Connell should be the backup for this season. Geno Smith should start. Whoever we draft, pretend it's Will Howard, could be the 3rd string quarterback. He can get a lot of reps, and he can be the practice squad guy, whatever, doesn't matter. And then in 2026, you let Aiden go, or then you trade him. You let him go be a backup or a starter somewhere else. Geno is still the starter, and now Will Howard or whoever we draft is your backup for 2026, and he's got experience and game readiness, and he knows the system. There is no universe where I would let any rookie quarterback be the backup over Aiden O'Connell. There is no quarterback other than maybe Cam Ward that can go into Arrowhead in 2025 and throw for 340 and 2 touchdowns and have the team in position to win the game if it wasn't for a snap that went off his face mask. That doesn't mean that any of these quarterbacks in the draft can one day get to that. I think a lot of them can. No one thought Aiden O'Connell would be able to do that. So I think there's a world in where Will Howard can do that. I don't think he can do that his rookie year. And again, if we're in a position that we need to win this game to have some sort of seeding in the playoffs, I do not trust a rookie quarterback to go out there and keep the train on the tracks unless we get lucky and it's a Dak Prescott type player. So my question to the audience, to the jury, to the council is this, and be honest with me. Should the Raiders trade Aiden O'Connell? Yes, no, or for the right price? And I just want to make this clear. Just because I want him to be the backup this year doesn't mean I want him or need him on the roster after this year. If he is not better than or he doesn't have more potential than the rookie that we draft, then after this season, he can go. Okay? Or they can keep him to battle it out and then he can go. You can cut him or you can trade him. But if there's going to be a trade partner for you right now for him, there will be a trade partner for you a year from now. I just do not trust a rookie to come in and be able to do what he did. Not saying that what he did was so spectacular, but he can keep the train on the tracks. So let's read the chat here as an emphatic no from the BR audience. What up, Rod Sarmite? Just got back from Suns football game, went 3-1. Let's go. Absolutely. Let's get it. No worries that you're late. You can check the replay on Bleacher Report. On YouTube. Rather keep AOC, still draft a quarterback. He's not making much money. Yeah, he's super cheap too. If you were to draft a rookie in the 3rd round or whatever, you still need to go sign another quarterback. You can't just roll with Geno Smith and Jackson Dart. That means you're going to have to sign a veteran that's probably going to cost more than Aiden, and he's probably as good or not as good as him. So why would you ever trade him unless you can get like a third, which it to me would be crazy. But if it was a third, I would trade him. I wouldn't trade him either. He's a decent backup. Yeah, I think he's going to be a career backup that gets a lot of starts in this league, and that's pretty good for a fourth round draft pick. He's been through the worst, and still there's a good backup to have. He knows everyone. He has played with everyone, no doubt. Breach, keep AOC. Stick draft looking. Let him learn under Gino and AOC. Let him earn his roster spot like AOC did. If the kid we draft is better than Aiden O'Connell, he can be our backup. Yeah, and I ultimately trust John Spivak and Pete Carroll to play the best people. Think Pittsburgh would a trade up? Potentially. We can draft a QB and he can be better than AOC year one. I don't think that is far fetched. Yeah, that's not far fetched. But if we're playing the odds game, the likelihood of who's better prepared to come in and win a game for us right away, it's Aiden O'Connell. I mean, that's a fact. That's a fact that's the likely outcome. That doesn't mean it's not possible or not impossible for Quinn Ewers to be better than him. And we also don't know who if we're going to draft a quarterback. So let's just wait and see. Again, there's a lot of smoke. Okay. Speaking of smoke, speaking of the draft, speaking of the regime and Pete Carroll, last thing I want to break down here is there was an article put out by Fansided, and it goes deep dive, and this was 1 hour ago, deep dive into Pete Carroll's draft history. And I do think this is important when understanding if the Ashton Genty buzz is legit or not. And this will be the last thing we wrap up with here. Make sure you get your questions in so I can answer all of them as best I can. Steve Nagishi, love it. Raider fans can trust in Pete Carroll when it comes to Ashton Genty draft buzz. In his return to the NFL, new Raiders head coach Pete Carroll is looking to recreate the Seattle Seahawks' success in Sin City. Ashton Genty could help him achieve that goal. So the article goes to say, and again, this every time I see this, it's like the first time I've seen it. Like, I can't believe you lose all these games and you win these two, and then you draft in 6. Although, quick side note, remember when everyone was like, we won these 2 games and now we can't get Shador Sanders. It's over. Yeah, how many people want to draft Shador Sanders now? And by the way, he gonna be there at 6. I promise you that. Anyway, I digress. With the NFL draft less than 2 weeks away, crazy, many draft experts view this year's draft class as not as strong one as last year. But of all the top players available, many agree that Boise State running back Ashton Genty is probably the most NFL-ready and cleanest prospect out there. His college career is marked by record-breaking performances and numerous accolades, winning both the Maxwell and Doak Walker Awards while finishing runner-up for the Heisman Trophy last season. After being devalued, the running back position is resurging thanks to stellar performances by Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. Many mock drafts have Genty selected in the top 10, with the Raiders being one of the teams most linked to him. Let me just X out of this. Okay. Oh, okay. Ashton Genty makes sense drafted to the Raiders with Pete Carroll coaching. After mutually parting ways with the Seahawks over a year ago, Pete Carroll's back in the NFL despite turning 74 in September. The Raiders are making a huge gamble on him as their new head coach. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. With the quarterback taken care of, Carroll could see Genty as their version of Marshawn Lynch. When Carroll enjoyed success with the Seahawks, taking them to consecutive Super Bowls in 13-14, Marshawn Lynch was a key member in their dominance. Even more encouraging for Raider fans dreaming of Genty is Carroll's draft history with the Seahawks. This is interesting. ESPN's latest draft report indicates that he took 6 offensive players in the first round while he was head coach in Seattle. It's probably more than you think for a defensive-minded head coach. Among them was running back Rashad Penny from San Diego State, a smaller, Mountain West Conference school. While Penny's career was cut short by injuries and he was forced into retirement, Carroll has a shot at drafting another standout running back from the Mountain West Conference, hoping for a better result this time. So is it a slam dunk that the Raiders will draft Genty in the first round? Depends on who's control of the organization. Tom Brady enters his first season as minority owner, and the team also hired John Spivak as a new general manager, whom Brady knows well from his final 3 professional seasons in Tampa Bay. Spivak recently made headlines when he revealed that his son wanted Genty drafted by the Raiders. but does he get to make the final decision over Carroll and Brady? Carroll led the effort to trade for Smith because of his past with Seattle. That might be more interesting if for Raider fans than them drafting Genty, which is close to becoming more of a reality as the draft gets closer. So, as I discuss this, I'm going to put this poll out here before I finish talking about this because I'm interested in seeing what you guys think about if the Genty buzz is real. That's not how you spell. How, oh my gosh. Hold on. That is not how you spell it. There was two typos. Ashani Genty. Bang. There we go. Um, I think it is real, but I don't think it's because there are any leaks within the organization or any insider sources that say, there's a contingent of people that believe that the Raiders are all in on this guy. I just think it makes a lot of sense, right? Sometimes the easiest answer is the answer. And there's a lot of overthinking going on. Like when I thought about Brock Bowers, I was like, what if they just take him because he's going to be the best player available and we're going to be in a weird spot at 13 and they took him. And everyone was surprised like, "Oh, how'd you do that?" It's like, well, sometimes again, people can just overthink things. And I think that the Genty buzz is real. I was surprised to see that Pete Carroll took 6 offensive players in the first round during his Seahawks tenure. And another thing I will say is I appreciate that it doesn't feel like Pete Carroll or Tom Brady alone is making these decisions. When we draft players or sign players, I'm trying to move closer to get this glare out of my face. I am completely comfortable saying that John Spytek, the general manager, is the one making these moves. Because when I make videos sometimes I talk about Cleveland Ferrell, or Damon Arnett, or Josh Jacobs, our old draft picks. There's always a point of contention as to who actually drafted these guys. Was it Mike Mayock? Was it John Gruden? Was it Josh McDaniels? Was it Dave Ziegler? I think John Spytek is making all these decisions. I think it's a partnership. I think Pete Carroll and Tom Brady obviously have a lot of influence and say in who goes when and which people we trade for and which people we sign for. But ultimately, I feel like John Spytek is in the position to have the final say and to make the call. I think Pete Carroll was pushing for Geno. I think John Spytek is totally comfortable doing that because Baker Mayfield was something that him and Jason Light did in Tampa Bay. And I think they had to probably sell Tom Brady on it, and Tom Brady was like, "All right, let's do it," because I'm sure Tom Brady would rather Matthew Stafford than Geno Smith. But ultimately, we went with Geno instead because we couldn't get Matthew Stafford. So I do think the Genty buzz is real, and I think if we do take him, it's going to be a combination of Pete Carroll and John Spytek, which is how it's supposed to be. And Pete Carroll has said as much. This is a partnership. Just because I'm Pete Carroll, just because Tom Brady's Tom Brady, doesn't mean that we're just going to push this guy around. He deserves to be here just as much as anybody else in the room, and I really appreciate that. That's the direction we're going, and that's the at least the narrative that I feel like is being spun positively out of the Raiders front office. It doesn't feel like, well, Pete wants this guy and John wants this guy. It feels like there is a common ground there. So I do believe the buzz. I don't want a quarterback before round 5. Now that's a hot take. Well, who is that quarterback that you would want in round 5? Who's going to be there? Interesting to hear what you say there. And he said, good games. Let's see him with a real staff. You're talking about Aiden O'Connell, maybe. Pair Ashton Genty with Scadaboo, and that would be an awesome 1-2 punch. By the way, that's a good point, too. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that we take Genty and then another running back in like the 4th round because Chip Kelly with Travion Henderson, I almost forgot his name, and Judkins, 2,000-yard running back rushers on the same team with Will Howard, who put up decent numbers as well, and Emeka Ibuka. Like Chip Kelly had so many weapons, and he was able to spread the ball around and have everybody get like 1,000 yards. It was insane. So I'm excited to see what this season looks like offensively. No doubt about it. Oh, Tanner Rourke. Okay, wouldn't hate it. Take a flyer on him. Well, look, guys, it's been about 30 minutes. We're coming up on 30 minutes here. I think we hit everything I wanted to talk about. Thank you so much for joining me live on your Friday evening, Friday night. Go enjoy it. If you're watching on Bleach Report, thank you so much for watching live. I appreciate all you guys voting in the polls. I will see you 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on Thursday and Friday of next week. And then those will be my last 2 shows of April because the draft is coming up and I will be at a wedding. Unfortunate timing, but it is what it is. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, comment away. I'm passing off to Momo, and please be sure to subscribe. It's free after all, no charge to you. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.